for the proposed Spaceport Camden in Camden County, Georgia. My name is Pam Underwood. I am the FAA licensing representative for this proposed project. Also speaking this evening is my colleague Stacy Z, an environmental specialist with the FAA Office of Commercial Space Transportation, and she is also the environmental lead for this project. The purpose of this presentation is to explain the FAA's licensing and environmental process and explain the proposed action and alternatives analyzed in the EIS. Afterward, you will be given an opportunity to submit comments concerning the potential environmental issues associated with the EIS. Your comments will help us in preparing the analysis of the environmental impacts that could result from the construction and operation of the proposed commercial space launch site here in Camden County. This first slide discusses why we are here. We are holding a meeting today because the Camden County Board of Commissioners proposes to establish a non-federal launch site that is county-controlled and county-managed. The county's goal is to provide a launch site option other than a federal range or installation. The county proposes to construct and operate a commercial space launch site called Spaceport Camden that would allow the county to offer the commercial space launch site to commercial launch providers to conduct launch operations of liquid-fueled, small to medium large class vehicles at suborbital and orbital launches. Camden County proposes landing the first stage of some of these vehicles back at the site or on a barge approximately 200 to 300 miles off the coast in the Atlantic Ocean. In order to construct and operate a launch site, the county must apply for a launch site operator license from the FAA, Office of Commercial Space Transportation. The FAA licenses and regulates the U.S. space transportation industry for launch and reentry activities, as well as the operation of a commercial launch and reentry site to ensure the protection of public health, safety of property, and the protection of the U.S. national security and foreign policy interests of the United States. Additionally, all future vehicle operators will also be required to apply for an FAA launch license prior to conducting any operations from this proposed site. The future proposed activities that are outside the scope of this environmental impact statement could require additional analysis under NEPA. A supplemental environmental analysis could be required once that type of parameters may exceed what is already currently analyzed in the draft EIS. The FAA's licensing authority extends to commercial space activities. The FAA issues licenses for the operation of commercial space launch and reentry sites. The FAA issues licenses for commercial orbital and suborbital launches and purposeful reentries. Although the FAA has the authority to issue experimental permits for developmental suborbital rockets, experimental permits are not part of the scope of this environmental impact statement. The FAA does not license activities that are carried out by the federal government, such as NASA or military launches. This slide discusses how the process that an applicant goes through to obtain a license for operating a site. The FAA conducts several reviews during the launch site operator license application evaluation process before making a determination on the license. The review steps include a policy review, a launch site location review, a safety review, and environmental review. The policy review determines whether the proposed potential project could affect the U.S. national security or foreign policy interests of the United States or international obligations. This review includes an interagency review as part of the review and evaluation. The launch site location review ensures the licensee can demonstrate a launch from the proposed site and with at least one type of vehicle and meet the safety requirements from the FAA. For the safety review, the licensee must demonstrate an understanding of the hazards and discuss how operations will be performed safely. The environmental review ensures the potential environmental impacts of the proposed launch activities are fully considered in the decision-making process. Preparation of an EIS is part of the environmental review process. No decision can be made or a license issued until the review process is complete. Stacy will explain the environmental review process in just a moment. Other aspects considered in the licensing process are agreements with air traffic control and the U.S. Coast Guard or other local authorities. Once an applicant submits a sufficiently complete application, the FAA will begin its review process and a licensing determination must be made within 180 days.
The FAA's issuance of a launch site operator license is considered a major federal action that is subject to the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA for short. The EIS describes the potential impacts of implementing a federal agency's proposed action. In this case, the proposed action is to issue a launch site operator license to Camden County that would allow the county to offer the commercial space launch site, or Spaceport Camden, to commercial launch providers to conduct up to 12 annual launches of liquid fuel, small to medium large lift class, orbital and suborbital vertical launch vehicles. Camden County proposes landing the first stage of some launch vehicles at the site or on a barge approximately 200 to 300 miles offshore in the Atlantic Ocean, or they would drop the first stage into the Atlantic where it would not be recovered. Spaceport Camden would accommodate up to 12 vertical launches and associated first stage landings per year, as well as up to 12 static firings and up to 12 wet dress rehearsals per year. Under the proposed action, the county would construct and operate a vertical launch facility, a landing zone, and an operations support facility. The EIS includes all activities connected to the licensing action. Therefore, this EIS evaluates impacts of constructing the vertical launch facility, the landing zone, and operations support facilities, as well as the associated access roads. You can view pictures of the conceptual layouts of the proposed facilities in the brochure or on the posters. So what are the alternatives? NEPA requires that the federal agencies consider reasonable alternatives in the EIS that would accomplish the purpose of the project. In addition to the proposed action, which I just explained, the no action alternative is also analyzed in the EIS. Under the no action alternative, the FAA would not issue a launch site operator license to Camden County, and the county would not operate a launch site. NEPA requires agencies to consider a no action alternative in their NEPA analysis and to compare the effects of not taking action with the effects of the action alternatives. Thus, the no action alternative serves as a baseline to compare the impacts of the proposed action. This EIS also evaluates the environmental impacts of the ocean landing only alternative. Under this alternative, all construction and operational activities would remain the same as the proposed action, except the landing zone facility would not be constructed, and all landings would take place on a barge located in the Atlantic Ocean, approximately 200 to 300 miles from the shore. After conducting the analyses associated with the EIS, the FAA has determined that the preferred alternative is the proposed action. The environmentally preferred alternative has been identified as the ocean landing only alternative. An environmentally preferred alternative is the alternative that will promote the national environmental policy as expressed in NEPA. Usually this means the alternative that causes the least damage to the biological and physical environment. It also means the alternative which best protects, preserves, and enhances historic, cultural, and natural resources. So what was analyzed in the EIS? This slide outlines the impact categories that the FAA analyzed in the EIS. The EIS includes a description of the existing environmental conditions of the area for the proposed project, which is covered in Chapter 3 of the draft EIS. It also includes a description of the environmental impacts of the proposed action, no action alternative, and ocean landing only alternative, which is presented in Chapter 4 of the EIS. Please keep in mind that just because an item appears on this list does not mean that a significant impact is expected to the resource area. What are the FAA's next steps? The FAA will continue coordination and consultation with agencies and tribes. After a public comment period closes on June 14th, we will consider all comments on the draft EIS and develop the final EIS, which will address comments received during the process. When the final EIS is completed, we will publish a notice of availability of the final EIS in the Federal Register and local newspapers. Additionally, we will notify everyone of the project's mailing list, and an electronic version of the final EIS will be made available on our website. The FAA will wait 30 days after the final EIS is released before publishing a record of decision, which will identify the FAA's decision regarding the project. The record of decision will identify the FAA's selected alternative and any mitigation or other requirements for this project. As noted earlier, there are many more reviews in the licensing process. Therefore, the completion of the environmental review process with a record of decision does not guarantee that the FAA will issue a launch site operator license to the county. The project must also meet all other FAA requirements.
The next speaker will be Queen Quet, followed by Farron Parker, and then Jeff Stewart.
Good evening. We're glad to be here this evening. I'm Queen Quet, Queen, Quet. I'm here for the Gullah Geechee Nation. So Honachilla might not get people of Cracker Teeth like this show much down here anymore, but my people are still here on this coast in Georgia.
Can you slow down just a little bit so the court reporter and the sign language interpreter can keep?
Sure, I just want to get through my 3 minutes. I hope you didn't miss the duck from it, but I'll slow it down.
Yes, slow it down.
Okay.
Thank you.
And so I want to make sure that Gullah Geechees are not left out of this process. Reading through the draft of the EIS, I have not seen one mention of any of our culture or our cultural heritage. In Appendix F, that refers to cultural resources, there is no reference to the area that this proposed spaceport would be in, being a part of a national heritage area, which it is. It is part of the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor, of which I was the General Management Plan chairperson. There are no references to anything regarding the environmental harm, the intangible or tangible cultural resources of this coast in this EIS report. I have also served on the National Parks Relevancy Committee, and I am very shocked and surprised that something would even be proposed near the Cumberland Island National Seashore, which I have fought for. I'm very surprised tonight to find out that the audio from all of this will also cover Amelia Island, Jekyll Island, and a number of the other areas here in the Golden Isles as the trajectory of this space launch goes on and travels over the homes of people who I met tonight, whose their homes I didn't read about in the EIS. So I'm here because at first I said, well, how did all of my people get left out? And we've been on this coast for over 400 years. But now I'm here to find out that even if you were here 50 years ago and still lived there, you were left out too. So now I guess I'm in good company when I say I oppose this proposal for this spaceport being placed here on the Gullah Geechee Nation's coast. It brings about too many additional questions, but more than that, the possibilities of furthering a lot of the emissions that we are trying to counteract now that's causing massive climate change harm to our communities around the world, especially on the coast. And when I hear that the marsh is such a significant resource, let us not forget, as Gullah Geechees who fish these marshes, who also use these grasses from the intercoastal waterway for all these generations, and we continue to do that. And so we want to make sure that our voice is heard tonight, and I thank you for that opportunity. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Quinn.